And we are recording on Monday, July 1st, 2024 at 1:14 p.m. Eastern Time with Mr. Don the Pleb. So I have no idea what audio, non-microphone, microphone. I don't know, having streaming problems. So it started in like the final, that guy I had on, Dr. Amin Hilman, the guy
Hmm.
who, like, the surfer, philosopher, Greek classicist, who I mentioned Clay Martin in it, and I texted it, or not texted it, emailed it to Clay, and Clay like immediately fell in love with him. He was like, "You need to put me in touch with him now." He's talking about like ancient warrior cultures and psilocybin, and I guess Clay's new book is about he went and tripped dick on psilocybin, and but that point is, at the end of that show, the audio cut out, and I just figured it was something to do with stream. Luckily for me, the live stream with Charlie Duke and Mike Lindell, my audio didn't come through, but I was running late, so I didn't share the link with anyone. So, because what happened last summer was I had on Dr. Malone, and we did an episode. That's the episode that got clipped on Twitter, and Elon Musk commented on it, and it got 2.5 million views. That one, something fucked on OBS, and you can't undo that. People don't go back to a link. We go, "Oh, no, no, use this one instead." They don't care.
Yeah.
Point is I don't know what's wrong with it. I legitimately don't know if it's working now. You can hear me. I
Oh, yeah.
imagine Zoom's recording it. I don't know if anyone
Oh,
can,
I don't know.
if I'm
Let
coming
me
through.
let me let me
Yeah.
a click of the button. We'll find out.
Yeah. But guys, go into the description. Go follow Don on Rumble. He's a goddamn sex icon. And
No, it's working.
yeah. So
Like
we're
it's vomit inducing to listen to you talk at like two different times that are like half a second apart.
oh
So
God, no, stop that.
since
Stop
my
that now.
stomach is currently upset, like it's
Listen,
working.
listen, we're not in Guantanamo. We don't need to dial that shit up. But like, yeah, no,
Oh, yes, we do.
yeah, okay. You and I were talking before this, and I was actually telling my buddy earlier today. There's this concept in consciousness, because no one knows what consciousness is. If you blew up the brain to the size of a solar system, like, you wouldn't find consciousness. It's all There's a quote from a philosopher back in the 1700s, some Dutch motherfucker, and he was like, if the brain was a windmill, like, you fucking wooden shoes, and he was like, if you blew the brain to the size of a windmill, you wouldn't find consciousness. So no one knows what it's from, if the brain's a receiver or whatever. But there is an idea that once you hit a certain, like, density of complexity, not just complexity, but complexity within a set amount, consciousness arises. No one knows, whatever. My point is as the podcast has progressed and I've got better and better and more equipment, I've started toying with the idea that it's at like a base awareness right now. I think it's like a child. And like a child, it's ungrateful, and it has a fucking temper tantrum, and it has an attitude and a half. And I don't know if you ever get this, but I get, when I set up the thing in a new studio, it's always upset, and after like 8 hours, I'll just find myself and I'll be like, please, like, help me help you. What do I need? And then it's like, and it works, and I'm like, you fucking cunt, like, go to your fucking room. So
So
that's
when
where I'm
when
at. I
I
think my studio is becoming self-aware. That's where my mental health is.
when I moved to Texas, for whatever reason, and I have no idea, um, to this day, all the same equipment, just 1,500 miles away from where it used to be, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, in the background of my audio, it's just like all the time, and there's nothing I can do to get rid of it, right? And chat is, of course, notoriously unforgiving. They're like, "Boomer, you can't even set up a studio," right? And I'm over here, and I'm down to the point that I've got a power cleaner, and like I have one on order, and it's on the way. And I have gone through every piece of equipment with like a multimeter to check to make sure that it doesn't all of a sudden have some massive resistance because something broke on the move or whatever. I can't find anything. And the student chat one day is like, "Hey man, well, like, if like, it sounds like you've unplugged it and plugged it back in, right? And so like if you're having any problems, and I was like, okay, well, here's where I'm at." And he was like, "Holy shit. You are doing like legitimate audio engineer work that like they hire people to do what you're doing in Hollywood, and they pay them six figures. So never mind, carry on."
That's, yeah. That's the other thing is.
in the end, this little piece of garbage, which by the way, if you don't know what this is, probably half the broadcasters you know are using one. This
One,
this little
two.
piece of garbage,
I see him
right?
to the left and the right of me.
All right, and for whatever reason, like Texas is where I live in Texas is a higher static environment than where I lived before, and it was just like picking up additional electricity and
Whoa.
inputting it into the audio lines. Now, how do you find that? I don't know.
You
Like, at
don't.
some point, I just started
Well,
disconnecting. Like, how much do I need this?
well,
Right?
I mean, no, there is no, you are in good in the idea of like, hey, that's actually a big problem. I mean, that's how they found CBM cosmic no CBR cosmic background radiation, where it's like if you look far enough out into space, you see like the Doppler effect, sirens coming closer.
Yep.
Same thing happens with light. It just happens on much grander scales. When things are moving away from you, it's called red shifting. So if you look at a galaxy and they can tell there's a slight hue of red, that means it's moving away from us. I think blue shifting means it's coming toward. Well, technically, sorry, everything's red shifting because everything's expand. Whatever. If you look even past that, though, look way past that. It's like if I look out right now and I look at a mountain and it's 100 miles away, the stars are trillions and trillions of miles away. So even farther, cosmic background radiation is essentially the leftover. I feel like you watch like a nuclear bomb going off and like 30 seconds in, like the fire's kind of gone and it's still just like rising. That's what
Yep.
cosmic background radiation is. It's the shit that's essentially still rising 14 billion years later. They didn't know what it was. I think it was in like the 60s or maybe the 30s where they had this.
So like which time, right? Because this definitely happened in the 70s,
Might
which
have
was
been
the
that.
second or third time.
Might have. But the
And then
point,
there
the
when the
giant
telegraphs
telescope.
went down in like the teens or something.
No, 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 no. This was detecting it. And they didn't know they've detected it before, much like your cloud lifter detected the static environment. But like they had this giant government funded thing, and they were like, this thing is so noisy. Like we're just trying to like look at a star, and they're like, what the fuck is? And they tried everything. They're going in there. They brought like exterminators in there. They're like, is there like bugs in the fabric of the? And then they finally realized like we don't know what it is. And then like some like theoretical physicist was like, "Oh, that's
But
long
what
been
if?
postulated." And I think
Yeah.
they got the Nobel Prize. Like they're like, "Oh, they thought the thing was fucking broken and it was the background radiation of the universe." So am I comparing Dawn to a Nobel Prize winning? Yes, I am. Yeah, yes, I
Good.
am. Do not
That
mince
is
my
the
words.
standard we need to
Do not
set.
mince my words, you fucking dumb cocks. That's exactly what it is. But so like sometimes it is like bigger than you. It's not
Yeah.
it's
Oh
not
man.
you. It's the goddamn electrostatic environment of the patch of
Right.
earth you live in.
And like in the world of and I'll never quit singing this song in the world of like the people that you watch when they have what seems like a minor technical problem, there's a decent chance that they're over there employing NASA to figure out what the fuck just happened. and,
Oh,
and you're like, bro, why don't you just restart it? Like, yeah, thanks, finally I tried that.
it does kind of, and I don't know, like number one, to preface it, as always, I'm owed nothing, and so whatever. This job is a blessing and a half that I get to do this. So I'll just from the gate, yeah, I know I'm lucky and I'm bitching. This is content, fuck off. When I don't know if you ever get this, but when you see shows with like whole payrolls of people, I'm like,
Yeah,
how are you not? You're like slightly bigger than my show.
yeah.
How are you not 1,000 times bigger than my show? Because like you said, when you're figuring out audio, like I mean, to me, it's literally like just you're just watching videos on like sound waves, how much is absorbed, how much is bounced, where do I put the panels, how many do I need? What are you
Yeah.
like? It's just little shit like this, and then you see like another show that has like a sound guy, a video guy, a thumbnail guy, a social media guy, a scheduler, a teleprompter, and I'm like,
So
I
my
have
question for these people
no,
is,
I
how
have
are you
no.
paying these people?
The other thing is you start going, where the fuck, what's going on behind here? Who's
Right?
is the Koch
How
brothers? Is
much
this Sora?
meth are you selling
Yeah, no,
outside of the
but
show?
that's the other thing that I start getting to is I'm like when I worked at my buddy's dad's door warehouse, my best friend in middle school and high school, Joe. That to me was like the most honest exchange of work. They made door frames, like cut
Yeah.
them, welded them, and we packed them on the pallets, shipping and receiving. You were like, We're putting shit in trucks, we're moving shit out, we're putting it on pallets, we're sorting them, we're saran wrap, we're using the U-line wrapping and shit. And to me, I was like, this is barter. This is fair trade where it's like I give you your door, you give me your money, shake hands. And it's like that to me was really maybe my only ever brush in with like legitimate
Oh my
barter.
God.
When I look at shows now and I'm like, you got like 1,100 subscribers on Rumble, which is that took me forever to get to. I'm not shitting on that. But you have 9 employees and you have an office.
Hmm.
Wait,
Oh man,
which one of you's got a which one of y'all's husband works on Wall Street and he just cuts checks to keep your wife quiet?
right.
You know what I
Because
mean? Like
that is what's going on
what
here.
and like I'm not even hating, I'm jealous. But you know what I mean? Like you look at it and
I
you're
need
like,
to know how I get onto this
I know
program.
how
Like
hard
that's
it is to fucking make money. When people are like, dude, how much longer do I make money on? I'm on episode 800 and I'm like, tell me when you figure it out. They're
right.
like,
Like
they're like,
when
what?
you know, I want to know.
Yeah, it is. And again, like I'm owed nothing. I should be doing manually. I should be doing a laboring job right now. So like I get it's but just in terms of just like that idea, like where does it? Do you think there's like not even like I think it's probably the most tame conspiracy. I would imagine you probably have something like the equivalent of the Koch brothers or Soros or any of the other names you don't see. I would imagine that they've probably got like some umbrella corporation that they probably pool all these things because like everyone knows there's money behind Shapiro, there's money behind Charlie Kirk, there's money behind. It's very rare that someone just goes and makes it.
Well, so this is the one of the internet's favorite conspiracies, right? Like they're I think my favorite focus of it is Sean Ryan, who came out of nowhere and had 1 million subscribers, right? Now I subscribe to the Sean Ryan show because an audience member of my show knew a guy who knew him personally, right? And was like, "Hey man, so," and it was through Teams things, and like he had told team guys, and team guys passed it along, and this guy knew a bunch of team guys, and was like, "Hey man, so like you should check this out." Like, and this is back when he was doing, tactical shit. This is how you shoot. This is right. You're this is how you clear a room, all that kind of all that shit that he's got paywalled now, right? And that was like 2020, 2019, something like still a
Hmm.
while back. Might even have been before that, right? He was relatively small, um, at least compared to what he is now. And so he moved to an interview show and he did, I don't know, like 10 or 20 interviews or something, but he had privated all the old content, right? And so a whole bunch of people discovered him when he was like, he'd been doing this for like 3 or 4 years. But he changed content format, so he just took all the other stuff out of public. He either deleted it or privated it. And they were like, "Oh my God, this guy's done like 3 episodes and he has 750,000 subscribers. This is clearly a CIA op." And the thing
Hmm.
is, Sean Ryan worked for the CIA.
Oh,
Like,
worked
and by
or
the way,
works?
well, see,
Well, I mean, what a
you
dumb
know, you know how
question.
the internet works, right? You don't ever stop working for the CIA. It's
Was
like the Masons, right? Once you're in, you're
well, and
in.
what Dale was a professional killer or is?
It was.
I don't think you just drop that skill. I don't think Dale picks up a gun and goes, where's the flamethrower? Like those talents don't go away.
Right.
I guarantee you, Tom Brady could still throw a football through an 8-year-old sternum at the speed of sound.
Right.
That's a
Oh, you
good
just
point.
forgot,
It
bro. You just
was or
forgot.
is CIA. As the words came out of my mouth, I was like, yeah. But
But
like,
so this is the internet specifically around like video creation. I mean, so much so that I recall the time where you were a CIA asset. Uh,
I fucking wish I was, man.
right. Oh man.
I think I
By the
asked
way,
Dale the second day I think he and I did a podcast. And the next day I texted him. I was like, do you think the CIA would pay me to like push narratives? Like I was so openly like the
yeah,
problem is like I was trying to like fed the feds where it's
right.
like fucking
How
fed. I was like
how
going to
do
them.
I get? How do I get
I can
funded
find,
by
I can pull up,
Israel?
I can literally just scroll all the way up to my Dale text and just back to whatever, like March 2020. And he was like, I
Right.
think they got it taken care of. And I was like, damn it. Like, that's
I'm
like,
available though. Like if they come up
I've put it out there. I don't think they're interested because I don't think they're interested in me. They haven't killed me yet. What the fuck is that noise?
well, I mean, how do you know they haven't killed you yet? Maybe they have. Maybe we're all dead. I mean, that again, popular internet theories. It's all simulation. So they just simulated you back in after they whacked you.
They might have. I mean, but so like I also look at that and I don't even, I think years ago I would have been like, can you hear that? There's
No,
like music. Okay, good. It's cutting out. Somebody's blasting music outside. I think it's the window washers, whatever. A little listener to my show, I'm listening to theirs. But like,
perfect.
yeah, like it's not. I don't even mean it in like some pearl clutching. Like, do you think these people are backed by the federal? Like, grow the fuck up. But like we know that it's Operation Mox. Like we know control of the media or influence of the media is the most important thing to any regime. America, Soviet, fucking ancient or medieval Britain, whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit. And you know, sure, the easiest kind of big ones that people are drawn to are names like like a Ben Shapiro or a Charlie Kirk, who don't really seem to be moving the needle on anything, or a Tim Pool, where it's this is just my and this is my yeah, this is my just humble take. Steven Crowder seems to be people don't like him. That's fine. You don't have to. He seems to be doing something that, whether you agree with it or not, he is legitimately trying to move the needle on something. The
But
other ones kind of seem
welcome to
like
the problem though,
well,
right?
the other
Because
ones kind of seem like these gate and like Tim
you
Pool like put a video last night. He was like CIA colluding with Hunter Biden laptop in 2020 election. It's like this is
welcome to the party, pal.
this is such a this is like a paper coming out now and being like, you know what? Turns out we might have killed a little more civilians in Hanoi than we recently admitted to. And
Yeah,
you're like, oh, that war that ended 50 years ago.
thanks.
What's up, man?
I mean, it's it's wild because
Guy going by my
about
window.
right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You
Welcome to the
need
show.
you need me to shut this? All right.
Perfect. Best content on the internet. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
I was like,
Surprise guest, window washer guy. How you doing, buddy?
I thought I was talking about the Doppler effect, and now just, just like fucking
That's
trombones
see,
and
you know what that is. That was the CIA's opportunity to pay you, and you missed it now.
do you know how fucking incredible it'd be if that guy came up and just said like John Brennan sends his regards and just put a bullet in my head? Do you know how
Live.
fucking
Oh
do you know how
man.
fucking I'd be so happy that you were the co-host
Oh,
and it
perfect.
happened. It
Right.
just the watermelon juice on my shirt just kind of foreshadowing that it would be covered in blood.
Oh man,
I
but he needs
mean,
to put it right there, right? Can't be in the head. It like considering
oh,
where
right
that
there.
is, it's perfect target space.
Really? Yeah. Yeah. That would have been so great. I just should ask him to come on the show. Come through the window. But
Yeah,
like,
right. Come on, come hang
but
out for like
and
an hour.
yeah, I don't give a fuck. Come on in, dude. But like, but I just look and I also get I'm also not on the topic of how do people get paid. I'm also aware that the vast majority of the population does just like rage clickbait porn. So
Oh man.
I've never met Tim Pool. I know nothing about him. I have all my opinions on him, which are correct because I've never wrong, and me and Don are
I mean,
divine figures,
objectively
where
correct.
we are what we say goes. I would imagine if you talk to him, he'd probably look at you and be like, "Yeah, I know this is just boomer rage shit," but then he'd show me like his monthly YouTube ad, and I would go, "Huh."
Oh,
And
I
it's that,
I
or
will
it's
not I will not tell you how I know this, but I do know this. That is precisely how that conversation goes.
well, I know someone who knew him back in like the Occupy Wall Street days.
Yeah.
I have a friend that knew him like showing me pictures of them at like bars and like not bullshit. Like that's my buddy.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah. And she was like, I was like, what is he? Is he a Fed or something? She was like, he's legitimately is just obsessed with money and clout, which might be
Yeah.
worse than a Fed.
Well,
I don't
so
really know where I'm going with this. I'll let you.
welcome to how you get Tim, right? Years and years ago, when I was much more irritable about these sorts of things, I was like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I right now, I have watched nothing that Tim has put out, and I don't know how long. So I'm going to start a stream. We're going to go to Tim Pool's channel, and I'm going to open whatever the first video is.
Yeah.
And here's what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you in advance. Tim is going to tell you it's one side's fault, then it's the other side's fault, and then it's the first side's fault, and then it's the second side's fault again. And in the end, he's going to say, it's up for debate, right? And it was like something between Republicans and Democrats who were doing something, and he opens and he's like, okay, so this is clearly overreach by the left. It's incredible. The Democrats are doing terrible things, and like 30 seconds later, this is the Republicans' fault. And I was like, what I tell you? Like the only possible way to listen to Tim for any lengthy period of time is to do it passively. Because
Yeah.
if you pretty actively watch what Tim puts out, you're like, did you fucking say anything? Like a lot of words came out of your mouth. They don't mean
It's
anything.
and so then there are these moments of you have to be like, well, what is the real like price of that? I mean, and the literal price is a lot. You sure you make a lot of money, but then you do have to like, you know, if you go into like what I'm doing, what you're doing, it's not it's a little kind of pie in the sky, but there is some legitimacy to it of like, dude, if I can't just say what's on my mind, like I'm just gonna go get like another job or something
Yeah.
because like there is something hollowing out. Like I don't Charlie Duke and Mike Lindell have them on, Mike Lindell, former crack addict. Charlie Duke had alcohol problem. Both come back to God. They don't swear. They don't. Hey, I know when to put on. I know when to put on the suit, the mental suit and tie, and be a host, right? And they're both, Duke's 30 years Lindell's 30 years my senior. Duke's 6 years. There's a time to you're kind of meeting the in-laws, and yes sir, no
Yeah.
sir. I get it. That's not. I don't look at that as censoring myself, but like there
Well,
is
the
like how many.
capability to be polite is not censorship, right? Like,
Sure, and but to day in and day out have to do like we can go to every day when I upload the fucking episode of BitChute. Every day I Tim Pool's on the front page of BitChute and it makes me want to kill myself. And actually let me pull up I'll pull it up right now. And I always see the same headline, and it's Tim Pool with his fucking bloated face and a goddamn beanie on it. And but he's wearing a beanie because he's scared of being bald. Most of the people in my life that I know and love are bald. I don't give a shit. It's
yeah.
just the
Hey,
beanie.
buddy, how you doing?
Well, you're
You like
beautiful, but that doesn't count. You're exceptionally attractive. But like I don't give a fuck. My deceased brother and like my older brother, like they're balding, and like me and my little brother are lucky in that we're not yet. All of my uncles are like, I don't fucking care. That's not the point. It's just a stupid fucking beanie in his bloated face. But here we go. I told you. I
every
just
time. Every
and
so
and I should have said it
this
before I pulled it up, but I was gonna say you're gonna have one word in all caps, another word in all. Trump is immune. Let's look at the full thing. Trump immune sends case, and then we're gonna say what leftists are having a fucking cow. Leftists are freaking
meltdown.
out, and it's like maybe if you really don't care, maybe if you really hollowed out your soul and your eyes are black, maybe he is just getting the paychecks and like that's whatever. But there is,
Welcome to the problem, right? Because whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, right? If this didn't say Dawn Anon, right, and that wasn't the title of the show, and it was like Dawn Rex, right, and we had some pre-set up topic we were going to talk about, and I was just going to lay hammers into it, right? I mean, it's more acting than like running a fucking show, but
it's
okay. But look, whether you like it or not, the simple reality is if the thumbnail is like, fucking this, and it, the big giant red letters over that flag, like America fucking going down, Dawn the Pleb, Rex the left, right? I want to kill myself immediately, but also the chance that that video goes viral is like 10 times higher. Here's the CIA again. Fuck.
they're letting it run. They're fucking left a post-it note on my window up there and said
You,
like
you know, you know what it
you
is.
lucked out.
You know what it is. They were thinking about killing you,
Oh,
and
and
they were
I'm
like,
live
"Oh,
streaming and they're like, mother.
No, no, not at all.
He's
They're
good.
listening to the stream, right? And they're like, "Oh, these guys aren't going to do this forcibly go viral shit. They're just a bunch of hipsters. Fuck it, never
Like
mind. We
they,
can live."
yeah, these guys are just so obsessed with like their artistic voice. Like, oh, these faggots are gonna kill themselves. Don't worry.
Right? It's just a matter of time. Whatever,
I
man.
thought they're like,
All good.
don't waste the 12 cents on the bullet. No, Jose, come back down. We're out of here.
Yeah.
But like, um, yeah, model. But like, but then you really do start to look at it, and then you go, okay, no, I get it, and that's not hard at all to believe what somebody sells their soul for. Tim Pool's not making no money.
No.
Listen, I get it. Why does why did Tom Brady leave the Patriot like we're a dynasty unlike any other where he was a walking god? Well, he's at the end of his career, moved to Florida, and they gave him like 5 seasons of money for one season. And he went down. That's kind of what athletes do at the end. That's what pitchers do. The Roger Clemens, Yankees, Reds. And he went down and not because he's Tom Brady and he's a living deity, he went and won another Super Bowl and put his dick on the table. But like, I
But
also
that's why they pay him that,
I also,
right?
yeah, well, yeah, but even if he didn't, a lot of times you come down because it's you breathe a little revival into a shitty team. It brings everyone back in. They're like, oh my god, we got Tom Brady. Like it'd be like
Right.
if Joe Rogan retired and said once a week he's going to do a show with me and Don.
Right.
We would pay for that because it's like we're bringing in the audience. So I get
Well,
that, and I'm not immune to that. But on a higher level, you do have to look at this and go, if you were a state actor and you wanted to maybe quell or pacify or create a pressure valve for for people that are angry at declining wages, no southern border, the flooding of fentanyl, the hollowing out of American industry, the sending of military aid, blood and treasure to other nations that hate us while not doing anything to protect our own, and then silencing those that talk about it. One way to do it would be to have a Charlie Kirk, a nice, tall, clean-shaven white guy who says the right things about low taxes, and I don't even disagree with them, but there's nothing actually happening.
so here, welcome to the actual game, right? So you don't need to pay either of these people, right? So Timmy's been doing this for a long time, right? Tim built his on
I'm also not trying to
audience
take away from
honestly,
that. He's put in the
right?
work.
Like, look, man, I was watching Tim when Tim was getting bricks thrown at him and milkshakes and all that other kind of crap because he was walking through Antifa riots. These things happen. He did plenty of honest work at the time. And now, there is a reality that whether you like his reasoning or not, I can at least understand it. Like, well, look, man, if I go to a protest, I'm the story now. And so there's no possible way for me to go to a protest anymore. I can't just go to a protest and film it because what's going to happen is I'm going to walk in. That protest is going to one half of it is going to direct some hate and discontent towards me, and then what is every journalist going to do? They're going to find the pictures and videos of me, and they're going to go, oh, look, on the ground journalist goes to protest and is assaulted in this way. And by the time that he said this out loud on the air, there were 20, 30 articles that said that exact same thing. He was like, so either I
That's
don't
fair.
go, or I become the story, and that's not the point. And I was like, you know what?
That's
That's
that's fair. I
that's
respect
reasonable.
that. Yeah, that's because if it was purely money and clout, that's you would go.
Yeah. But
Okay, all right. Credit where it's due.
the flip side of that, right, is that now
Don, you froze up, Don. I'll text Don. I think my internet's still working. Everybody's still watching. I'll text Don. I think my internet's still working. Dun, 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 dun. Oh yeah, his computer crashed. But no, that's a fair point. Yeah, the window washer guy is going by. Yeah, Don's computer's been crashing. But I mean, that is a fair point. And I guess it's also sort of like there is also sort of like a grow up moment where it's like I'm against blackpilling, but you also might have someone like Tim Pool that's like, yeah, man, I'm extracting as much money as I can from this enterprise and I'm putting it into, I'm taking the worthless fiat and ones and zeros and I'm turning it into, a compound with fences and ammunition and dried food. That's, you might say, fuck this whole thing. The demons from hell are going to kick off World War III and Civil War. I'm going to get as much XP from this as I can, and I'm going to go upgrade all my armor. That's not, you know, that's fine. I mean, technically, that's fine. I mean, that's probably the most pragmatic view you can have, and it's probably realistic. And also, I mean, all of this is of course prefaced and suffixed by the fact that you can do whatever the fuck you want, man. You're allowed to be a sellout. Like you are, there's no, and it's not even like you're allowed to be, so I have to be okay with that. You're allowed to be, and I would hate it if you couldn't be a sellout. That's kind of the cool part about being like genuine, is it's voluntary. It wouldn't be as cool if you had it's a shotgun wedding. Does he really love her or is it the shotgun? I don't know. Maybe that's the only way you can come is with a shotgun to his head. I don't know. I'm not judging. I am judging, but you're allowed to do that. What am I talking about? You're allowed to be a sellout. It's just I know personally, I just have like a level of like rage against it. I mean, I remember like pledging up a fraternity, and this was in like 2009, and I would always get given shit because I had these like long khaki shorts. They're almost like they're like past my knees down to my it was almost like is it capri? Is that the right word? It was almost like punk rock skater wannabe. I just had them forever because like my mom bought them for me in like high school, and I think I still have too fat to fit in them now, but like, and I remember like I would get like yelled at. They'd be like it'd be like you're supposed to wear like high level like high cut shorts. That's like the frat thing to do. And you're supposed to wear like boat shoes. And like I had like Vans or something, and I'm like, well, my Vans are more comfortable, and I love these shorts, and I love my mom, and more importantly than all of this is like, fuck you. I had nothing to gain from that, but I vividly remember then I was being like, dude, I'll fucking quit out of this pledgeship right now. Like, I don't care. So, I mean, you know, is it because I'm original and authentic voice? It might be that. It could also very well be a very big ego, and I don't know how to swallow my pride. That's also a thing. And the two can be confused or mistaken. But like, I should probably keep my phone open in case Dawn texts me. But you know, that's a that's a thing. But the more, if I were to be a conspiracy minded person, not me, I would, if I was just looking at this self-organizing structure of media distribution in a post Walter Cronkite evening news world. What was Operation Mockingbird? It was infiltrating the top news agencies. You don't need to infiltrate people like the people that push back on conspiracies always give the most horseshit argument. Like, so you're telling me every nurse in every hospital, here's Don. Don the Pleb
What's up,
can
man?
be. Yeah. Um,
That was cool.
yeah, no, I don't care. Um, listen, we got the Mexican window washers, it's all good. Um, but what I was just kind of going on about like I get I was saying, one thing Tim Pool might be doing is, I don't like blackpailing, but I'll repeat for you is he might be looking at this and being saying, hey, everything's so fucked. I'm gonna I'm gonna suck out as much money as I can from this enterprise and convert the fiat and the ones and zeros to physical things like timber and cinder blocks and ammunition and food and build my compound and take care of myself and the people I love. You might be doing that, and you're allowed to do that. But what I was getting to is like, the retards that push back against conspiracies will use COVID. You tell me every nurse was in. You don't need every nurse in. You don't even need every doc. You don't need every hospital administrator. You need this. You need like the heads of the CDC, the FDA, and if you can tie it into national security, have SecDef or DHS head come out and say it, throw in a little intelligence briefing on COVID, and now all of a sudden you really only need 100 people to really kind of influence the lives of 350 million people. So with these organizations like a Charlie Kirk, a Ben Shapiro, or Tim Pool, who above all else, I legitimately think they're all just they like money and they like attention. And like that's you're allowed to do that. That's kind of what this country is built on. But if
Sure.
I were above them and I was hell bent on, you don't even need to go full reptilian, Satanist overlords. So if you were just from proven world history, if you just wanted to tighten your grip on power, because that's what power is. It's an ends to an end. It's a means to a means. You would only need to get a handful of people. You would only need to get
So
a Pool,
yeah,
Shapiro, a
you
Kirk.
you don't get them, right? So go back to the Daily Wire contract, right? That got published. Um, and what does it say? You have to comply with YouTube guidelines, right? So now you need a product that was purchased by a DARPA project to enforce the guidelines that you want these people to say, right? Because all you need is somebody who's hungry enough for the money to go, I don't care what the guidelines are, that's fine. I mean, as long as they're not literally handing me a script and I can finesse whatever I want in there, that's fine. And that's precisely what the Daily Wire contract says, right? You don't have to like it, but it's true.
And it is a way to kind of circumvent your own, hey, I'm not saying get the shot. There's a federal mandate, and I have more than 100 employees. Take it up with the president. And it's not in no way honorable. It's actually the epitome of cowardice, but it is a way to kind of deflect it and go, you don't have to follow up with me. Did Don freeze again? I think Don crashed again. It is a legitimate thing that you can just kind of deflect blame and you can deflect, responsibility. It's so much. Imagine if I just said, if imagine if I said take it up with the president instead of like replying to a comment in my stream, I could just say take it up with the president. It is a way to kind of shirk all responsibility. Um, but you know, I think a lot of these people are probably I don't think you need to even so I don't even know. I guess I'd have to kind of talk about it out loud and flesh this idea out. I don't think you even need to necessarily like bring them into a room. I think it could very well be maybe you play on their personalities. They like money and they like clout, they like attention, they like access. You probably don't have to give them any money. Probably don't need a paper trail, but you probably just say, hey, I can get you access to this DC insider, you know. And if you have him much and let's play devil's advocate. Much like I exhibit manners with Charlie Duke and Mike Lindell that I don't exhibit, say, with Don. And it's not because I don't respect Don, it's because Don and I are just buddies and talk shit. That's not nefarious. So you could very simply just like right now, I can talk a big game. Right now, if like the head of DHS, Mayorkas, if somebody put me in touch with them and they're like, he wants to do your show, I would instinctively, reflexively, and probably without any like forethought, the first thing I would do is I would absolutely get like a blazer, a nice shirt. I would go get a haircut. And I wouldn't say things like, why are you allowing the rape of our country from illegal immigrants? Because I would look at this just instinctively. The more I'd look at it, I'd probably realize I'm compromised. But just instinctively, just reflexively, my first thing would be like, button up, shut up, have on this person, you do well with them, doors open. And that's me who's been banned from everything for not knowing when to shut my fucking mouth. That's my reflexive response, right? It's like it's so it might be that it might not even be like you get pulled into a Langley office and they're like, this is what we're gonna do. it might not be that. It might be like, you know, you might say like a euphemism kind of, play ball without saying play ball. You might say have on this guy and you have him on and you don't do any gotcha journalism. And they say beforehand, they're like, hey, I know you're a journalist, I know this is your whole thing. A wild pleb appears. Dawn, Dawn the pleb. He's appeared in the Zoom call. Is he? Can you hear me, Don? Can you see me? I can't see or hear you. I'm pontificating about how much better my. I think Don's computer's just completely fucked. All right, well then I'll just finish with just kind of solo talking. Um, uh, so like my ideas are. Well, let me go take a piss real quick. And then so so what I was getting at is like it probably doesn't even need to be some, you know, how would you do it? Like if it was me, how would I do it? I would slowly bring these people in and I would give them access. And I probably wouldn't at first, I probably wouldn't even say I'm Bob and I'm from the CIA. I'd probably just say, I'm a former, analyst at a think tank that, I'd rather not say, but I can get, deputy the deputy secretary of defense or something, or whatever that is. Or you could probably say like, you know, hey, I like for me, like when I'm doing game streams, every once in a while, like Siraj will push it to the front of Rumble, and it's completely inorganic. Like I didn't earn that front. Now it's a game stream. It's me playing Ghost Recon and screaming at Drew Bob for being Jewish, but like that's inorganic. There's no dirty play ball. You know, the majority of my texts between Siraj and I are either incredibly homoerotic texts, incredibly homoerotic memes, or pictures of his dog Ernie, Sig Heil Ernie. But that's just like a friend I've made, and I certainly didn't earn this. And every once in a while, he pushes a game stream to the front. So like, why wouldn't that happen? At and this is me who's been only on exclusively Rumble since August 2021. Didn't start live streaming until March 2023, barely over a year. And I've known Siraj since about March last year. So all pretty recent and pretty new in the grand scheme of things. And yet this kind of self-forming, even the most innocent, like, hey, will you push this game stream? 99 out of 100 times, it's like, he can't abuse it. But sometimes if I'm like, hey, I'm doing it all nighter tonight, me and some buddies, it is fun, good content. But why wouldn't that happen at a instead of, a 1 year friendship? Why wouldn't that happen at a 20 year friendship? I mean, when did Google buy YouTube? Or when was YouTube formed? 2004? We're coming on 20 times my relationship with Suraj. And it's completely like completely utterly homosexual and gay, but just funny, stupid friendship, right? I've been on his show, he's been on mine. It's all a blast. What if you don't need blackmail? You don't need, well, what if Siraj had a video of you fucking a kid? You don't even need that. What if you just dialed up the innocence? From right now, it's at an innocence of 0 or 1, where it's just purely friendship. What if you dialed that up 1 and went, you push my show, I'll give you a, you can come on every other month and push your show. What if you dialed it up to 2? I'll, hey, I will make sure some of my guests go on your show, my bigger guests. Dial it up to 3. I will put you in touch with my sponsors. Dial it up to 4. You know, I'll share ad rev with you. Dial it up to 5. I'll, my best friend will send you some Bitcoin. And I don't want any relation to it. Dial it up to 6, 7, 8. What happens when there's real power at stake? What happens when there's influencing presidential elections, state elections, Senate spots, breaking stories that make a regime look good or bad, Trump or Biden, whatever. And in turn, this thing you've been grinding at, this thing you've been trying to build, all of a sudden doors are flying open. All of a sudden, all of a sudden, Tucker Carlson's coming on my show and he's telling me about Putin, and I get the scoop. My fucking the shades in my window are broke. These ones don't go up. The other window doesn't go down. It's just what it is, you know. I've got watermelon on my shirt. I've got a double chin because I haven't been dieting lately. I don't have enough money for a haircut because the Great Clips only takes a debit card, and I don't have enough on my debit card right now. And so I got these two little fucking horns sticking out of my head. I get devil horns when I don't get a haircut. Maybe that's my true nature. Maybe I'm a demon from hell. Or maybe devil horns aren't really devil horns. Maybe they're just horns. Maybe they're angel horns. But like, you do look at this, and then and this is all things I'm talking about with like my moral constitution. And I don't mean that as some like, and I am this. No, just like who I am, how I was raised, the Irish Catholic kind of conservative background, the very strong father figure, the very loving but strict mother figure, parents still married, nuclear family, go to church. Like, I hit the lottery in terms of the moral and ethical, uh, sugar, spice, and everything nice that was put into the container that is me. I still call my mom every day. I see my parents at least once. Like, and that's just with who I am, and then my life experiences of, getting into medical school, just even these little things where, I've taken the high road before. I've not cheated on a test because it didn't matter that no one was watching. It was really, it's because I'm a pussy and I didn't want to get expelled. But I was just like, yeah, that's a bad cheat once, get a good grade. That's a bad precedent to set because now when you're not doing well on a test, instead of staying up all night studying, you cheat and then you cheat. Eventually, the chickens come home to roost, and you end up at the MCAT and you can't cheat. So like that's just with my you know moral constitution. That's as someone who you know that's just how I was raised. And now let's go another step further. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. I don't have a pet. I'm not supporting a family. And I'm not, my parents don't live with me because they can't live on their own. Like, my parents are very healthy. God bless. And like, you know, they don't need a penny from me. It's not like, well, I'm taking care of mom and dad. Like my parents are fine. So I'm like negotiating from a place of extreme. I don't mean this like a narcissistic way, but like rather like I'm lucky from like an extremely like morally, ethically, and spiritually powerful position. The same way it's like speak softly, but carry a big stick. Through power we negotiate. You show up to the peace conference with 4 aircraft carriers in the bay. Like I'm very lucky in that the way I was raised, and it wasn't just someone telling me this. It was also, you know, watching, my dad, make the tough decision, things that hurt him financially because it was morally the right thing to do, and watching that and seeing how not only did it all shook out in the end well for him, but also like, yeah, no, I mean, my dad's been retired for years, and there were things he could have done where he would probably like no bullshit, probably have 10 times the money he has now, but he didn't because it was the wrong thing. And like, you know, I look at that and I'm like, that's someone who they did the right fucking thing. And so like I saw from like the most influential male figure in my life do the right thing. So like that's how I was raised. And again, going to church, having, loving grandparents, aunts and uncles, and don't steal, and Carrigans don't start fights, but we'll finish it, and turn the other cheek, and blessed are the peacemakers. And then again, from like, I don't have kids, I don't have a wife, I don't have any dependents, I don't have any employees. Like from all of this, and I'm still tempted to do the devil's work. I'm still tempted to be like, did you just have on that big gas and just fucking drink the Kool-Aid? Who gives a shit? Let's go viral. Just do fucking just take down the COVID episodes, dude. Let's go back to YouTube. Who gives a shit? So like, it's like the reason why I religiously get 8 hours, like non-negotiable, 8 hours of sleep, go to the gym, get your blood going, get your blood pressure going, weights, you should be out of breath, like, you know, shave, shower, put clean clothes on, even if I'm not meeting anyone in person, put on deodorant and some cologne and, and dress, dress, you know, what is it? Dress for success, dress how you, whatever the fuck. Look good, feel good, and meditate and calm your mind, slow down tactically, so you're not as foggy or scatterbrained during a discussion, but then also deep down inside, kind of touch God touch you. We're good, you know. Every day when I meditate, but my point is like I do all those things so that when I come into a podcast, I'm on a good day. Where it's like, you see like, basketball players, they'll talk shit. You be like, you meet me on a bad day and I'll still beat you. If I have a sore ankle and I didn't sleep well last night, I'll still beat you. I come into every show on a good day. And my entire upbringing has been a quote unquote good day. It's been a good life. And I'm still tempted to be like, fucking delete all the episodes with Dr. McCullough, Dr. Malone. Go back on YouTube. Go grovel. Go suck the LGBT climate change, fucking Slava Ukrainian. What the fuck do you care? Go get some paper. And I don't, because I also think that I would probably kill myself, or Dale would kill me, or Dawn would kill me, or Stoli would kill me. A lot of people might kill me if I do that. Least of which is or most of which is myself. Fireworks. Fucking revolution just kicks off at that's the fucking Fort Sumner of the next Civil War. But so I look at all that and you know, it's not too hard. So that's all this. And then it's just like the roll of the neurological dice. Your brain is it's a scaffolding, it's an architecture of shit we still don't understand. Like I think they're just figuring out like what chandelier cells are. There's still forms of electrochemical, glutamate synapse and neurons and upregulation, downregulation, global interaction. You know, I remember seeing some quote by some dude who is a neurosurgeon resident. He goes, "I swear, brain surgeons see the brain in 4 dimensions. They don't see it in 3 dimensions. They see it, To assemble something, you're looking at static pieces, like putting together a table. Being a doctor, being a surgeon, the whole thing's moving, right? There's you can't just hit pause. And then to be a brain surgeon, it's like there's like another level of like if you fuck that up, the whole thing is fucked up. And he's like, I swear they see in 4 dimensions. Like, what was the point? Oh, the brain scaffolding. Like that's just like my neural network. Some people are colorblind. Some people, have I was gifted with like an incredible memory, like sharper than like my brothers and I don't know. And this isn't like, well, you've been, work. No, dude. I mean, I remember in high school bringing up shit like freshman year from like fifth grade, and my friends were like, "What the fuck?" I don't, and that's nothing I did. That's just something I was given, right? It's just something I was given. You know, so what do you roll the dice? I mean, you might not have this, who knows? It might be that if you did like a functional MRI of my brain, you might see that, there's just the part that perceives God or the part that, perceives moral and ethical importance it might be like it might be like abnormally swelled and and it might not be, and this is kind of the nihilist reductionism, but it might not even be. It's like it's like, yeah, no, you were just, it's like some people are born 6'2" and they just think that they're great with women. It's like, no, you're just tall. Like fuck off. Like you could enjoy it, but like, fuck off. Right? The thing about me is, yeah, I just, dad always taught me to work hard and just, push hard. Who's your father? Jeff Bezos. And it's like, well, okay. Hmm. Um, it also might be that, I work hard at being a good person and like working out. It's something you can do every day and you can get better at it. And I you know, um, I'm up to 160 push-ups a day. A year ago, I was at 100. 2 years ago, I was at 40. You know, just like in years from now, I want to be able to do more push-ups. I hope years from now to look back at me this very day and be like, yeah, you're a real piece of shit. That would mean I'm growing and evolving. So I also don't mean to like do like a self-hatred thing of like, I'm not a good person. I was just born this way. Like, no, hard work is also good. You gotta, you know, episode 1000 with Charlie Duke and his wife Dottie, I was talking about how sometimes I feel guilty for doing well. And I remember she, without blinking, she goes, "That's Satan. Satan will do everything he can to get in the way of you and success. And on the off chance you do succeed, he will then make you feel guilty for it." So I'm also aware of like, hey, it's okay to do self-love. It's okay to say like, hey, I work hard. That's why I have like a big bicep because I fucking work hard. So I get that. But I mean, so aside from like the upbringing of a nuclear family and like that strong Irish Catholic Puritan, like, work hard, and aside from having incredible role models in my life and being healthy, aside from I don't have any, you can't really, there are no, you can't play on my heartstrings because like my baby needs diapers. I don't have a baby. I would like a wife. I really would. But like I don't have those things. So on top of all of that, you might have someone that just has a different brain chemistry. You might have someone that, just like I'm a 5'8" white guy, you might have a 7'1" black guy. You might have a 4'2" Asian guy. Like you might have a difference in people that I can't comprehend or wrap my head around. You know, I've known my brothers for 33 years, and really in the last year or two, I'm starting to accept that like even though we had identical backgrounds, we just also have different brain chemistry. We like different things. We have different interests in women and music and, politics and religion and philosophy and whatever. And those are with people I've known my whole life and I love dearly. So what about someone that I've never met before, like Tim Pool? I know nothing about him. I mean, I talk a lot of shit, but like at the end of the day, I know absolutely fucking nothing about him. He makes a ton of money. He puts in all the fucking work. Cope and seethe, Tommy. Like he's crushing it. You're not. Fuck off. Um, but all these things, and then you take all of those and then you mix them with that, the innocence meter with the whole Siraj thing and ads, money, sponsorship, and then all of a sudden it starts to get to like, you know, maybe Joe Biden retweets you or something, or maybe you get this guy on your show. And then you might also then be ideologically aligned with them. Maybe you're not just someone that needs to be coaxed into it, you know? You might just be like, yeah, no, it's for the greater good. You might do that, man. And then, when you take all those things and combine them together, you might get these emergent things where it's like, when we look at like McDonald's, like it's so depressing. There are so many McDonald's. If we didn't shop there, they wouldn't be there. We create them. Like airlines back in the 60s used to be better. Well, the waitress, or not the waitresses, the flight attendants were really hot, sure. You got not you get the whole utensil thing in 9/11, whatever, but like it's also that like, and I could be completely wrong on this. Somebody's like, "Oh, you're an idiot." But I'm pretty sure, like, adjusted for inflation, tickets are like 1/5 the price they were in the 60s. We've selected for that. We want something. I'm okay with just putting in AirPods and, I don't need a movie. I don't need I'll grab a sandwich at the fucking kiosk, put it in my backpack. I'll grab a water bottle. I'll listen to a podcast or watch something on my phone. I'll take half a Xanax and conk out. I don't need to be in a bed. I can just roll in this chair, or I might meditate, or maybe I just don't mind, sitting in a chair for 2 hours and having my ears pop, and it's just whatever. I get to go across the country for $40. Like we've selected for that. We want that by virtue of the fact that it exists. Now I get that there's like government overreach. Like nobody wanted the vaccine mandates, or at least not the majority of people. That's different. But in terms of something like a McDonald's or a cheap flight or, the prevalence of Walmart or, you know, we're a service economy now. It's like, well, that's what people want. Everyone has money and they have extra money and they like that, you know. I certainly do. There are days where, I fucking work really hard, like multiple shows, I'm doing this and I'm moving, and you know what? Yeah, I don't mind. Sure, I could go to the grocery store and go get $10 worth of chicken. I don't mind paying $30 for delivery, tax, tip, and two fucking, Philly cheesesteaks, hot and ready, delivered to my front door, like literally outside my door. That's fine, but that's what we've selected for. If I didn't want that, I wouldn't do that. And if that was multiplied by a billion, that would slowly die out. So these things like Tim Pool or Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro. And then you have the flip side, and then you have astroturfing. You have YouTube is clearly a government outfit. That we know that we know that Meta is in bed with them. We know. And then you also have to kind of use your brain. The NSA, no such agency, National Security Agency, its very existence was classified for like 30 years. And it wasn't a cubicle. It wasn't like the Jeff Bezos of intelligence agencies. It wasn't a dude in a desk in a garage. It was a fully fledged fucking in the 50s. The NSA was bouncing radio signals off the moon onto Navy ships to see if we could use that to communicate in case everything else failed. And then they did it from Mars in the 50s. So, first of all, just shut the fuck up. And that existed. The NRO, the National Reconnaissance Office, its very existence. There's a story about like a guy that was leaving NASA to go work for the NRO. And as his coworker was like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "I'm going to a black hole that doesn't exist," and just kind of give him a wink. And it's like, "Where are you relocating?" He was like, "Washington, D.C." And the guy was like, "Got it." Like, you know, and the NRO was working through the through NASA. Guy, I forget his name. His name was first of all, his name was Guy. I think he was the first black astronaut. But he talks about being up on one of these space shuttle flights where everything, literally every movement you do is coordinated and tracked and planned and rehearsed. There was at one point where they were all sitting up in, I guess, the cabin, and as if he was just going to the fridge to get a beer, he was like, "I'm gonna go out back," and they all pretend, and then the other guys there, like, you can see interviews with them. They're, we all just pretended we didn't hear Guy. Guy goes into the back bed, puts on his fucking thing, puts up this little basketball sized classified satellite, like unravels, uses whatever centrifugal force to unravel, places it into orbit, goes back down, no one at mission controls because everyone understood it was a classified mission for something that they weren't read in on. And that was the NRO. That was the National Reconnaissance Office, or the NGA, the National Geospatial Agency. So these things existed, not programs, not the F-117, not the F-22, not a Delta Force operation, not an entire construction project, not a Greenbrier bunker, not Raven Rock, an entire agency. Like you got to really appreciate the difference in scope that is. This wasn't a classified dart gun for the CIA. This was a classified agency. And then everything they do is obviously classified. And these existed for decades without ever being breached. So when you take the political and historic precedents for this, and not even precedents of like, well, power corrupts, King so and so, and that was also 1300 years ago. No, no, we're talking about in this country when they still had color TV. Oh, and I guess, NSA wasn't that in this country when, guys are still taking girls out on dates with cars with steering wheels. Like it not, well, this wasn't for forever ago. This was post World War II. Like there is legitimate precedent for not just secret military operations where they go and do something, not just secret military programs where they are building something, but secret agencies in entirety. And if that existed, you have to accept that it is more likely than not that there is at least one, if not more, classified agencies right now. And I think that there's probably an AI one, and I think that there's probably a social media. It's probably now called that, but when it was formed, but imagine it was probably formed in like the 90s. It was just for like email, but like an influence and control operation. You would now say one, I would imagine, subcompartment of it would be a modern Operation Mockingbird, where from YouTube channels, you would start with the corporations themselves, terms and services. You don't need to control everyone on there if you just have TOS. But then you would have the bigger star, you'd have sub compartments, and that would be the big individuals themselves. A Poole, a Shapiro, a Kirk, a Crowder, a Rogan, a whatever. A Tucker Carlson. I mean, that's old school. Of course, Fox and CNN are controlled. And I would imagine you'd come with the carrot first, right? You'd offer the access, the power, the clout, the blah. You might try to align with their own ideologies, do like a just a biopsy on their personality. And if you really need them, you bring the hammer. You do, you hit them with a whatever, a gag order and an NSA warrant, or if you're a FISA court warrant, or if you can, you blackmail them, a la Epstein Island. Probably don't even need to do that now. You probably just drop fucking CP onto their device from orbit. Um, or you go full wet work and you threaten their family, depending on how important this person is. And then you min max it and you go, well, what if the story gets out? Is it worth that we throw the whole ball game because we wanted Tim Pool? Probably not. Versus like a Michael Hastings or something, or Gary Caradori, a lot the Franklin scandal, like the OG Pizzagate. You go, yeah, it's actually kind of a JFK where they go, no, we do need to fucking kill him, like it. Versus some smaller thing that probably you probably have like a secret credit score, and it's like this guy's very compliant, this guy's mostly compliant, this guy pushes back on some, this guy's religious and you can't really argue with that, but he will push this, that, the other thing. But you probably have other people that are just demons from hell and they're like, hey, blackmail me, like take me to Epstein's Island, and you're like, you're fucking, we don't want, you're out of control. But you take all of that, you take the precedent of classified security agencies, You take then the moral ethical fabric. You then take the how do you see the world through hormones and neurological structures and how do you perceive good and bad parts of your brain. You take the upright your upbringing through the nuclear family or lack thereof. You bring in weak points, family, debts, medical bills, parents. You bring in, the ego, clout, money, access. You bring in political ideology. You then, also use the overbearing power and awesomeness of a classified agency where now you just feel like one of the cool kids. You're like, dude, I'm fucking working with DARPA. Like, you bring in all of this stuff, and then you also just go on the basic human psyche. Like, a lot of it is just you don't need to convince people to eat McDonald's. They just will. So you throw on a thumbnail, you throw a clickbait thing on there, and you realize that a lot of people don't actually want to A, win or B, get to the bottom of something. Instead, they A, want to be told what they already believe, which is why if you're conservative, you watch conservative shows. So you all pat each other on the back and talk about how Donald Trump is Jesus Christ. And then you want B, you want to be outraged at something. You want you and all your buddies to agree that it's an outrage. And so you can all get together and agree that Joe Biden is the Antichrist and vice versa. So you don't actually want to learn anything new. You don't want to get into something that might penetrate your bubble that would make you have to maybe admit that at some point you were wrong. And I get that. That's a very big thing to do. And you know, I think most people want to just be told something they already agree with. And then you want rage porn. You're working at a job you don't like, you fucking didn't sleep well, you're stuck in traffic, your fucking headphones got caught on the doorknob, your dog shit on the carpet, and you're just fucking pissed off, and you sit down on the couch and you see a Tim Pool and it goes, Democrats are evil and they're aborting babies, and you go, fucking give it to me, Tim. I just want to bite into that red meat. Right? You don't actually want to see anything. You don't actually want to learn about like, yeah, so it turns out turns out we were, stockpiling armament outside Ukraine 10 years ago. So it seems like this might have been preordained. And you're like, huh, that's odd. It is odd. Huh. You know, you might say no more foreign aid to anybody, no more fucking, we got to protect our own homes and our own identity. And then Trump goes, Israel's our greatest ally. And we're going to staple green cards to diplomas, which I'm not against. My family are obviously generations up, but some people are like, no, no immigrants at all. We got to protect us, which is also fine. But you don't really want to learn anything. So your moral and ethical fabric, how you were brought up, the things you believe in, the corners you are willing or unwilling to cut, the need for money through either just greed or on your own weaknesses, pregnant wife, kids going to private school, parents sick, medical bills, appeal to ideology, appeal to you're in the in crowd, appeal to technological prowess and the awesomeness of I'm working for a national security program, a lot of fucking money, a lot of access. The thing you're working at's building up and you get a chance to break away from it all. And then at the very end, the blackmail of here's you with this child, or here's a picture of you know, here's a picture of your wife through some thermal crosshairs from this morning. You take all of that, and that's just on the production end. And then the receiving end of people really don't actually want to learn anything. They want to be told what they already agree with, and they want to get very angry at the other side. They just they just want to be told for the 8.5 trillionth time that Obama wasn't scandal free and that Hunter Biden fucking smoked crack. They just want to hear that. They just for the 18.5 quintillionth time, you just want to be reminded that Donald Trump said grab him by the pussy. You just want to be told one more time, Slava Ukraini. You just want to be shown one more thumbnail of immigrants crossing the border. You want to see one more Facebook profile picture of of an American eagle staring you down with a Blue Lives Matter flag behind it. You don't really want to be told anything that will shake anything up. You want to dig your heels in deeper with what you believe, and you want to lob more grenades to things you don't believe. And, and as I'm saying this, I'm just kind of talking out loud, well, then why go against it? One, I legitimately think that I truly believe I did the right thing during COVID with all those interviews. Um, I really do think I've helped people get the word out about something that could irreparably damage their children, loved ones, parents, or kill them. And there is some ego in there. I just don't want to fucking be told what to do. And that's not necessarily an admirable thing. It might have aligned, the Venn diagram might have synced up with I didn't want to be told what to do, and it was morally the right thing to have on doctors to discuss the uh, potential harms of the COVID vaccine. But it might not have been like altruism alone. It might have just been like YouTube told me not to talk about it, so I'm going to talk about that. That's not like that like violent individualism. That's not in itself like a good thing. It can be. It can be awful. But like that, because I don't know how to, as much as I talk about humility and meditation and prayer, like, and getting thick skin from the podcast, like, I have a vicious ego as much as anyone, probably worse than most. And that might be what drives me. So, maybe I'm just mad that Tim Pool and Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro have all the money. Maybe. I might hate that. I just see their fucking thumbnails on the front page of everything about how by dumb, by dumb, he pooped his diaper again. Oh yeah, well Donald Trump has his diapers changed twice a day. So we're making poop jokes. It's never been more clear that the US empire will trudge along. As there's like a tweet that I saw, you know, it doesn't matter who's in office. So then it comes down to like, so then why the fuck do this? Do I get to jerk off my ego and say I stood up for what I believe in, or do I be a little more honest and say I just didn't want to be told what to do, or maybe be a little more honest and be like I just wanted to be a contrarian because I'm a hipster faggot? Like maybe I do rest on the COVID thing as like my good deed. You try to do like a good deed for a year. This is my thing. I, donated this or I brought food to this shelter, whatever the fuck. And you're like, all right, God, I did something. I think that was like my good deed for my life was like 200 interviews with doctors and which horribly ruined my business financially and socially as well. It was created great and pretty much unhealable rifts with many members or almost all of my friends and some with my family, but like that is something where I truly believed I was doing the right thing even when I was outcast to Rumble and I had 80 subscribers. Like that is something where I can look at and go, no, I think I did the right thing there. I think I did. um but you know I think that's why and there is like a piece, and I've talked about this before, there is a piece when you're going to bed because eventually you're going to lie down and die, and it's going to be no different than any other night going to sleep. It's statistically unlikely that you will be surrounded by friends and family as your heart monitor goes flat. So you're probably just going to die alone in your bed. So, just and that's not, necessarily it's sad, but it's also not like whatever, you know. There is like a piece I do have when I'm like, I think I did the right thing with the whole COVID shit. And it came at great cost to me, which I suppose makes it even more of a right thing. Um, but I think I did the right thing. You can do the right thing, go bring food to the homeless shelter. but you know it's the right thing and everyone else knows it's the right thing. It's one thing when you legitimately like friends and family stop talking to you and then but make sure that their final salvo is that like you're an anti-vax or fascist Nazi and you're like, well, I just wanted to have on some doctors talk about how it might give babies heart attacks. But, you know, so is that why you do it? Maybe. Maybe. Um, well now that that's over, you got to find a new jihad. Not really. I don't really want to. A lot of that was scary. A lot of it was not fun. Like I said, destroyed a lot of friendships, lost a lot of potential money and growth and exponential growth. Um, and then yeah, there is something to be said for like just speaking your mind, man. Right? We'll wrap it up with like a quote I saw, and it goes, "When you die, you'll have a gravestone, and there'll be two dates, and your friends will remember the dates, but the only thing that you'll ever remember is the dash in between, just that little dash, and that is your entire existence." And I think about that, and I'm like, yeah, fuck off, dude. I'm gonna fucking say whatever I want. Like, legitimately kill yourself. And then I also look at people like Rogan who said and did whatever he wanted, and Tim Dillon. Go back and listen to old Tim Dillon episodes, and he's like, I can't do the Tonight Show because if I go on there, I'm gonna start asking Jimmy Kimmel, how many kids he's eaten at a satanic ritual in Bohemian Grove. And he was like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna fucking not say that. He's like, you're all demons from hell sucking off the corporate tit. And Tim Dillon's loaded. Rogan's like 1,000 times more loaded. So there's also something to be said, pragmatically about, doing whatever the fuck you want. It seems like it also might work out financially. So I don't really know where I'm going with this or whatever. But you know, and it also all doesn't have to be like this biblical like fight between good and evil. Like don't get addicted to that like adrenaline rush of like this is the biggest election of our lifetime. It also doesn't need to be like this is the fight between good and evil. It can also just be like, just kind of do the right thing, you know. So I don't know. I think you want to find peace more than anything. Find peace, or whatever that whatever precedes that peace. You need to do that, and I don't know. It's all Gucci. So I'm gonna go keep moving the rest of this shit in my apartment. Um, I think I got a show tomorrow. I should. But yeah. So I'm gonna wrap this one up. Much love, you guys. Take care. Peace.